And welcome back to day one of the Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships, coming to you live from beautiful Wollongong on the New South Wales South Coast. My name is Max Stenstrom. I'm joined in the box by Hilary Hume. How's it going, Hill?
Hey, how are you, Max?
I'm great. I've been privileged enough all day to be watching some seriously good Ultimate. Well, we've got some more seriously good Ultimate coming up right now as we have Sublime, who've made the trek from Perth across the country to play against DUFF Combine Stout. The story behind their name is that they're a combination of DUFF, which is Darlinghurst Ultimate Frisbee, and Inner West Ultimate, both in Sydney, and they're combining their powers to compete here today. DUFF is, Combine, apologies, are starting this point on offense, starting this game on offense. Hill, how has Combine gone this morning? I know they've played a couple of games.
Yeah, Combine has had 2 games just before this, sadly going down by 2 points to Colony Rum Corps, and previous to that going down 7 points to Fat Chili.
So they had a bit of a tough morning. They'll look to come out of the gate strong, and they do here. That's a lovely shot to the end zone.
That's a great pass. That's what we want to see. Straight out of the gates. Beautiful look right to the end zone.
Alan Murray on the end of that one. It's a lovely cut to the back corner of the end zone. Gives his thrower plenty of space to throw that blading, arcing throw. Not a hint of float on it. Lasers it in. Perfect. Hitting the target. Opens the account to 1-0 to Combine. As we get a look again at Michael Cherlin showing off his throwing chops. And he takes it to 1-0.
Max, this is going to be a really exciting game. Both teams have actually lost both of their previous 2 games, which means that it's do or die for this. And the team who wins must win their next game to make pre-quarters. What do you think we're going to see out here today?
Well, this morning it was very windy. I think we looked at the report coming from the Bureau and it said 30-40 km/h winds. So some pretty stiff breezes, but it's died off as the day has progressed. We've got a very light breeze at the moment. I don't think it'll really trouble any of these guys. There's some seriously good throwers on the field that won't be troubled at all. So I expect to see plenty of single coverage. This Combine Stout team's a Masters team, so you can never put it past a bunch of old men to come up with something tricky. As that one just bounces straight off the chest of Robertson. And now Stout get an opportunity from about 8 metres out. They'll look to capitalise early, but that one goes through their hands. One bad deed deserves another, perhaps. Crocker drops that one, and Damiani wastes no time and immediately shooting deep to Robertson again. Damiani will expect to see a lot of him with the disc in his hands as he pilots this Sublime team. Exceedingly exceptional. He's got a Frisbee resume as long as your arm. He's done it all in his time. I was actually talking about him the other day, Hill. We were chatting about how just being physically bigger, being taller helps you, have longer levers and throw the disc further. And that theory went out the window as soon as someone mentioned John Damiani's name. He's diminutive in stature, but he's got a whole lot of power behind his throws. He can bomb it deep with the best of them. Stout, move it up this far sideline, keeping a nice high tempo. The Sublime defense not able to generate much traction, but Robertson really looked like the intended receiver on that throw when it went up. He was in plenty of space, and it was Combine coming from behind, and in the end he gets a good block.
It's true what you say, though. I mean, it helps, it assists to be nice and tall and long and lean, but any body shape can play this game. That's a great rundown. Gets the score.
And Robertson, rewarded for his hard work. He was going all over the field that point. Came under early on, it bounced off his chest. Then he ran deep and he couldn't connect.
He already looks spent now, doesn't he?
And then he went back the other way and he got the block. And now he's gone deep again and he's got the goal. I mean, yeah. Like, understandably, he looks pretty exhausted already. We'll see if he's got more in the tank for the rest of the game.
Look, they've both just played 2 games. It must be exhausting out there. And we'll just see who can make it through to the end.
You'd imagine Sublime just generally being a younger team. They've got the odd old head out there, but plenty of young legs as well would look to take advantage of maybe some of their youth and some of their athleticism. But
I believe Combine have at least 3 youth, the token youth that they were calling them, just to balance out the team so it's not just full of Masters players.
okay, so we do have some young blood out there, some fresh legs. We'll see whether they can make the difference for this Combine team. As Sublime set to pull, we see Robertson walk off, still puffing and puffing. Hopefully he gets a moment to catch a breather. And Stout will play some offense. Cherlin with the disc again. Shoots an almost identical huck to the last one. Finds Sasha Weidler.
That was too easy, wasn't it?
2-pass offense. It doesn't get much more clinical than that. And when you've got a player like Weidler on the end of it, it's going to be safe as houses. He's a very experienced player. He's played Dingoes. He's played Worlds of Clubs a bunch of times. He's done it all.
Do you think we'll see a lot of this type of movement on the field with Combine?
So far, it certainly seems so. Both of their goals have been that identical blading forehand to a player heading deep. Looking to get the points done quickly, not tap into perhaps limited resources in terms of ability to run and grind out long points. So they'll probably look to do more of that, get the job done quickly, keep the Sublime offense out there for as long as possible, on the other hand, and take advantage of their strong throwing abilities, as we saw there. Cherlin, a very powerful thrower. They've got other strong throwers on their roster as well. Defensively, they didn't seem to trouble Sublime that much last point, and we'll see whether that continues to be Pat. As Damiani fields the pull.
Damiani, one of the big threats for Combine. They were telling me before that they have a lot of beef with him. Don't know what it's about.
See how they take that beef out, whether that comes into their play a little bit. As the lefty shoots deep, and he's gaining underneath it. Can't haul it in, but Stan Tamata was eating up the yards there. He seemed like when the disc went out, he was behind his player, but he's not short on pace and almost got there in the end.
Just out of reach, though. I think the wind had a bit of assist on it, pushing it further out.
And now Roxburgh bring it back up to the front of the end zone. Both Sublime and Stout playing pretty vanilla vertical offenses against some pretty vanilla single coverage defenses.
Nothing wrong with vanilla, though.
No.
It's working so far.
It is indeed, especially for this Combine team. There's some nice defense on the dump. Makes Roxburgh work hard for it. And Roxburgh, lines it up and goes. He's got Murray underneath. And Murray does a good job. He's on the doorstep now, and the little flip for the goal. That's Alan Murray with a goal and then an assist. He's racking up the stats, showing why he's the captain of this team. As we have another look. It's a nice throw. Roxburgh faked it and then decided that it was worth throwing. Murray does good work with a man on his shoulder and then the easy flip to the end zone. And that takes it to 2-1. Apologies, it's 3-1. Damiani will stay on the field for Sublime, recognizing they don't want this one to get out of reach. Momentum so important, as we saw earlier in our previous match. If you've got momentum with you, it can often be the decisive factor. And that pull flies out the sideline. Damiani will walk it up to the brick mark. Sublime opting for a bit of a side stack. And they'll look to isolate a cutter in the lane and give the cutter and the thrower Damiani plenty of space to work. And they do find their man eventually, Podmore, as he comes back underneath, goes across the field. Quick flip back to Damiani. Damiani lines up the backhand, doesn't want it. Comes back to the near side with Black. Black, that's a nice inside flick. And gets it back. This high tempo movement by the handlers.
Oh, beautiful pass. Where was his defender?
Devastating on the defense, just leaves them standing still, looking like garden gnomes. And in the end, it's Kung Lok who gets, as you say, wide open on that break side in acres of space.
Acres of space. Good movement through the disc as well. Safe hands. They didn't punish it. They waited for the right opportunity. And they got it. A player without a defender.
You don't get a much better option than that, really. And as you say, they were willing to move it quickly, sideways, so plenty of little passes, and force the downfield defense to adjust and adjust and adjust, and eventually they weren't able to keep up, caught napping, and Lok just wide open for a pretty regulation backhand and goal in the end to take it to 3-2. Sublime coming down on defense. They do a better job of keeping their pull in bounds.
That's G. Atwell with the disc, with a big pull. He's the captain of the team for Sublime. Sublime's goals for this game are just to focus on their handler movements and make some very decisive offensive cuts and ensure that people are clearing. So we'll be looking out for that to make sure that they're doing that.
Roxburgh now on this near sideline. Gets the release valve through the wall. Vidler over the top with the scuba to Cherlin. Moves it to the center, into the hands of Molnar. Molnar goes far side. Back to Cherlin. Both teams loving the quick handler movement. And both teams being rewarded with pretty easy meters. And now the zone clamps down. Having to work hard, that's a nice throw to get it back across in towards the center. Cherlin sizes his options up, goes over the top with the scuba. Comes back here and Cherlin rushes the last one.
Great block.
They'd played it so safe all the way up the field. But in the end, it was Nah who was able to get his hand in front, playing great one-on-one defense with Sasha Vidler. Probably got the athletic edge, if not the experienced one. And now Sublime. The work it upfield. Robertson, the workhorse, back on the field. See what options open up for him. He centers the disc back into the middle. Bring it back to the near sideline. That's a nice hold by Podmore, as he has to go sideways again. Credit to the Stout defense. They're making Sublime work hard and making them throw tricky shots like that one. As Vidler picks it up, no hesitation, throws the backhand. And he's just outside the end zone, does a good job to toe it in. Does Leung.
Nice across field pass though, creating space. They're very close to each other though. Oh, and there you go. Oh, just out of arm's reach.
Leung. Great effort, goes fully horizontal. He made a good play to keep that one in earlier. And his team asked him again, can you make us another play? But he's not able to hold on. Looked like a pretty good option, but just too far.
Maybe a bit gratuitous. Take a couple more steps running, you might actually get a little bit closer.
Harsh, but probably fair. As Robertson not able to hold on to that one. And Rowe picks it up. Oh, goes the arcing high backhand that floats. It's a bit of a hospital pass. You're just giving the defender plenty of time to get involved.
Molnar misreads that one.
And now Sublime get another chance. Been no shortage of turns so far. As Robertson surveys his options, not liking what he's seeing. Stall count rising. Attempts the tricky inside forehand. And it goes to turf. Would like to see him probably engage his dump there a little earlier.
That's the thing. Use what you've got. You had a dump there. He was willing to work for it.
And that's the easy goal for Stout in the end. They hit their man. Vidler with the assist. Against a team this experienced, if you just keep giving them that many opportunities from 10, 15 metres out, they will eventually put it in the end zone as they do there.
That's right. Experienced teams, they might not be as quick as these young guns, but they have the experience and the know-how. And that goes a long way, if not further than actually just the athleticism and quickness of some of these young people.
This game is a great demonstration, an example of that. And as we said, most of this Stout team eligible for the Masters division, well into their 30s. Some may be well into their 40s. Whereas down on the other end of the field, it's a much younger contingent making the trip across from Perth. And we thank them for doing that. It's a pretty incredible tournament we've got happening here with 40 teams, 700 plus players.
Incredible.
It's the biggest tournament, biggest domestic tournament, I should say, ever to be played in Australia.
And on the beautiful fields in Fairy Meadow, thank you to Destination Wollongong for offering this spot to us.
Been very lucky to have it. It's a great tournament so far. Speaking of great tournaments, and one that's coming up and I'd recommend to all our viewers to check out is Terrigal Towel. It's the longest running and without a doubt the most well enjoyed and one of the top beach tournaments in the country. It's happening on the 5th and 6th of May this season. I would recommend you get on down to the website and register for it if you're thinking about it. It's their 20th edition. As we see Sublime not able to hold on to that one. But do check out Terrigal Towel. It's a great tournament. Would highly recommend it. Getting a bit of beach ultimate's always a good thing. I know I'll be heading to the beach this afternoon after this game. And would recommend, if you need an opportunity to do the same, to head on over there. Stout now with the disc. Find Murray. He looks at the end zone. He nods his head. Not super happy with what he sees. Goes sideways, but it pops up. Maybe just a touch of wind underneath it. And Sublime will walk to it slowly. Damiani marshalling his troops, shouting instructions.
He's a man who knows what he wants. He's been in the game for so long. He'll just call it.
As he does here and hits Ryan Black in stride. Dials up an absolutely pristine throw.
I almost thought he was going to miss that. He wasn't looking.
Just the chemistry between them. Who needs to make eye contact?
Good connections. That's right.
You know that he's going to throw it. The thrower knows the cutter's going to cut for it. And that takes it to 5-3.
Max, Sublime are 2 points down. If you were in their shoes, what would you be doing different?
I think it's really just a question of composure. Both teams have been willing to move the disc quickly. And they've looked pretty good doing it. But it just feels like a little too often will Sublime either force that last pass, you know, as the pace rises, often the decision-making suffers a little bit, or they make a simple mistake and make a cold drop or something like that, or a simple turf. So it's maintaining the high levels of execution and decision-making while keeping a high tempo that I think is letting Sublime down so far. And I think that can really easily be addressed by just sharpening up the focus and saying, hey, you know, let's really dial in now. We need to execute these throws. We need to hold on to our catches.
Yeah, there's been a few turnovers that they've been cheap and they haven't been very good. And you want to see at this level that the turnover isn't to do with an easy drop or a throwaway.
They really need to make the other team earn the disc if they want it, earn those turnovers. And that pull rolled out the back, so Stout will walk it to the front of the end zone. Doesn't like what he's seeing, does Cherlin, has to go sideways. Sublime. Looks like they may be backing their players downfield, not putting a lot of pressure on the undercuts. As the disc finds its way into the hands of Crocker. And we get a pick called as Peter Ford makes a nice one-handed grab in traffic. There's lots of players in a small space, getting a bit congested, hence the pick call. We may be able to hear what's happening thanks to our game advisors. Perhaps not. We may take this opportunity to go to Hannah Monty on the sideline, our game advisor, chief game advisor for this match. Hannah, can you give us a bit of insight into what just happened there and what the resolution was? Perhaps not. I think we're having a few technical difficulties there, but we'll come back to that later as Stout work it up the near sideline. And in the end, find their man.
Crammed it in, didn't they?
Crammed it in that cram hole. Hole out the field, really. From right in front of us here at the commentary desk at halfway. They just threw a bunch of 2, 3, 4 metre passes up that near sideline. Made it look pretty easy in the end.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah, when the options are there, you can't blame them for taking the open shots when they're there. Really, when you have the opportunity to throw a 3 metre pass for a goal, why not take it?
Take the safe options. I think with Sublime, they're not going to win it on offense, obviously. They need to now step up the level of defense because I think they're giving away passes too easily.
What do they need to change about their defense? Is it just a question of effort, or do they need to adjust something structurally?
Well, we just saw that Combine was getting a lot of unders. They weren't actually throwing it deep, were they? They can. We know they have those throws, but they weren't putting it up. And I think it's because they're afraid of the legs that they've got on Sublime. So I'd be putting pressure on the unders and saying no unders.
I think it's a good choice. Maybe they do have the throwers that can make those shots sometimes, but, make them prove it. Make them take the difficult shots, not the easy ones.
That's right.
Make them take the tough shots. If they connect sometimes, so be it. But you have to ask that question.
Sublime being coached by Mike Tarn. What do you think he just said to his team?
I think it's, as I said earlier, for them, when they've got the disc, it's all about composure. Obviously, Damiani's on the field this point, so they'll look to him to provide that cool head. He's definitely not afraid of taking the shots when they're there, but they'll also need him to slow down the pace if it starts to get a little frantic.
He's good at playing it safe, isn't he? He takes a beat, he thinks about what he's going to throw, and he makes a decision.
He's definitely got plenty of experience to draw on in making those decisions. And right now, it looks like they'll take that pull from the sideline, so it's about midway up the field on the far side. And again, the side stack. It looks like this is Sublime's preferred offensive structure. They've got one man in space out there in the lane. Crocker sits under in the lane and switches, taking away that option. They move it to the near side with Robertson. Robertson gives and goes. Finds his man coming underneath. Damiani cuts back, but it's not thrown to him. Comes to the near side with Black to Robertson. And finds his man despite the bidding efforts of Roxburgh. In the end, it's Ian McCarricker with the goal. One of the old men of Australian Ultimate. He's been around a while. Played some Frisbee in Canberra for a little while, and now he's plying his trade over on the other side of the country on the West Coast. He's pretty handy and gets the job done there.
I think that was a great point, showing that they were just calm, cool, collected. They moved it across the field really nicely. Damiani got a really nice inside throw, got that through into space to their opponent, to his player actually. Easy score.
That brings it within one. Combine up 5-4. been hard running for Sublime so far. It feels like they've been really made to work for their points. Even early on when they were scoring one relatively quickly, we saw Robertson having to do a few laps of the field before finding the disc in the end zone. So Stout making them work for it, which is what you want and what you'd expect from a Nationals competition. Damiani lines up for the pull and unleashes his big backhand. And Cherlin will settle underneath it.
Nice pull, lands in the end zone.
We've seen a fair few bricks and sideline pulls so far this game already. Just how important is it, do you think, to get those pulls in the field?
For Sublime, you'd be looking to get them landing in the end zone because you want to put on that defensive pressure really early on. You don't want to give Combine any chance to get a head start. And so they're really important.
Simple as that. It's very important for them to get them right. Obviously, players like Damiani, very strong throwers, you'd expect to be able to consistently do it. But it's been proving challenging so far. Cherlin with the disc, just a couple meters out. Looks a bit messy downfield. Squirrely cuts. Not a lot of clarity as we get two cutters going again, but they do find their man.
Toes the line and they cram it in yet again.
I've just heard from Murray, the captain of Stout, that was just how they drew it up back in practice. That messy style is their go-to, apparently. But look, it gets the job done.
That's
that takes
right.
it to 6-4.
Doesn't matter how dirty it looks or how pretty it looks, as long as you get that point. Does it really matter?
I guess not. The stats on the board, and that's what counts for Adam Baker, who catches that goal. This Stout team, of course, preparing for the World Championships later this year.
That's right. #1 seeded men's Masters team.
There you go. I mean, look, even if it is by default, they'll claim it. Not a lot of competition in that department. I believe they're the only team, is that right?
I think that's true, yeah. The competition, fierce, but limited.
Fierce but limited. Mostly limited within their own team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure. Okay, they claim that #1 seed despite fierce competition from within their own team. I'm glad to see they managed to come away with it.
Good to see Australian teams heading over to the Masters tournament, though, in May.
Yeah,
July.
July, I believe. Yeah, best of luck to them as well. You know, when we play them domestically, you want to beat them, but as soon as they head overseas, I'm sure all of Australia's behind them.
That's right.
Wanting
We're
to
all
do well.
fans.
Oh, and Ryan Black lasers a backhand.
Oh, great hands.
An absolutely beautiful throw, reeled in by Locke, who then finds his man for the easy pass for the goal. But that connection from Black to Locke could not have been more precise or more perfect. That disc never more than 6 foot off the ground the whole way down the field. An absolute laser. He had it on a string the whole way. And we'll get another look at it as well. Fakes the
Sublime
flick.
loving it.
Moves the mark out of the way. Nicely done. Backhand. And then the snag with the right hand. And that was a nice goal for Sublime, and that'll take it to 6-5. So we're closing rapidly in on half-time in this game.
Anyone's game, really, at this point. Do you have any predictions before half?
Predictions. So, I mean, Sublime are obviously down by 1. And they're playing defense, so Combine trading up a couple of breaks at this point. I just think, generally speaking, Combine have had an easier time getting the goals in. They've looked a little bit more settled with the disc in their hands. And despite some congestion downfield a few times, clearly they're well equipped and well practiced in that, and able to make it work. So
Damiani with the pull there.
my money's on them. Do you see the same, or?
Oh, I don't want to
thoughts?
put my money on anyone at the moment. But I tell you what, I love a close game, and that's what I'm here for.
We're being delivered one, that's for sure, as Murray works hard to get a big undercut. And they'll move it back towards the center. Back to Vidler. Sublime working hard to limit their downfield movement. Stall count rising with Cherlin on the disc. And now they have a player streaking. Vidler shoots from the hip. But
good field awareness.
Comes out very flat. Yeah, good heads-up defense. And a bit of a miscommunication from Robertson to Damiani. Damiani visibly a little bit frustrated with that decision to try and squeeze a pass into him. And Murray, about 8 meters out from the end zone on the far side. Fakes the scuba, back to Vidler. Not a lot presenting itself downfield. Has to throw to a man with a defender on his back. Finds Ledwich. Ledwich back to Vidler. Vidler inside forehand, under pressure to Cherlin. Cherlin on the doorstep. Flip to Long. Nicely done. That shot from Vidler. A very tight angle, but he threads the needle. Puts them within 1 of half. And it looks like we've got a timeout call from Sublime. The players will take a break and grab a drink. So will we. Don't go anywhere. House party wins! Welcome back. We're closing in on halftime here at the Australian Ultimate Championships Division 2 in Wollongong. Combine Stout have had the best of it so far, going up 7-5, but Sublime still have fuel left in the tank, and they'll be pretty keen to put this one on the board on offense and then get out on D. They called the timeout there, clearly recognizing the importance of this point, Hill. What do you think they were saying in that huddle?
Yeah, I think they're looking to close this gap, and they recognise that these guys are about to take half if they don't change something. So I'm not sure what they're going to change, whether it'll be their defensive tactics, whether it'll be offense, because now they're going down in offense. But something has to change because they're only just nearing the same score as DUFF, Combine, and it's just not good enough. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, look, I'm not entirely sure, and I guess that's why I'm in the commentary booth and not out there coaching these guys. Something needs to change, that's for sure. Maybe it's a question of defensively pulling out a different look, or offensively a different style as they shoot deep out of the side stack again as they reach for Kung Lok. At that time, he can't replicate his earlier heroics with an incredible one-handed grab. And Stout will have the disc. They'll have to go the full 70 yards. They're more than capable as Groh holds onto it. I had the pleasure of playing with Groh a number of years ago. And at that time, I don't know if it's still true, but at that time he was the world record holder for, or part of a team of players that were the world record holder for moving a disc 100 meters through the hands of 5 separate players. It's a very specific world record, but I do believe he held it.
Incredibly specific record. What team did you play on with him?
I played in Sydney on faculty with him. He, I believe, got that record while playing in France, but Damiani finds his player in isolation.
That's what Sublime wanted.
Nah, out in the lane, a simple jink to the open, comes back to the break, and Damiani delivers the inside throw.
They called the timeout. They lost it, lost the disc, got it back, and then they score. The odds are in their favour now. They're still down by 1 point. Who could it be? Who's going to take half now?
But perhaps the momentum has shifted. As you said, they're still down. They've still got work to do, but that was a nice hold. But they did just start that point in offense. There's still plenty of work to be done, particularly here on the defensive side. They haven't been able to get any breaks yet this game. They'll have to tighten up their defensive look, perhaps. Play a little tougher, work a little harder, I feel. A lot of the defense they've been playing, they've just been trailing their players around the field, really just running after them, never really taking something away. And they'll have to change that up to get a little more traction on this combined Stout offensive line.
The weather's been interesting today. We've actually got a little bit of rain coming down. This will be interesting to see if it affects the players and the effect on the disc.
As Stout move it to the center, Cherlin lines up some options, goes for the swing to the near side, and he'll shoot deep. Ford's underneath it, and that's half. Combine show their resolve. Single possession offense, and they get the goal. It's taking it to 8-6. The players will regroup, recover, and recenter themselves and get ready for a second half. And we'll take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. And welcome back to the second half of Sublime and Combine Stout here at Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships. The story of the first half was the composure of the old men winning out over the young blood of Sublime. We'll see whether that composure can hold or whether the youth and athleticism of the Perth boys will prove trumps in the long run. That pull, not great. A number of pulls gone out the sideline from Combine this game.
Do you think Sublime can use this to their advantage?
You definitely think so. With a thrower like Damiani, giving him an extra 15 metres, the ability to walk it up to the ring mark, it's just devastating. As Robertson immediately goes deep, the throw doesn't come.
They've just come back from half. What do you think they said to each other?
The Sublime team for sure is just probably continuing to take the options that they're taking, generally speaking, but just being a little bit smarter and being willing to work for it. A Stout reach long, Murray in hot pursuit, but the throw was fading away. That was an inside-out throw. If it had been outside in, you would have backed him to get there. It's pretty quick, despite his advanced years. Here's Alan Murray. Sublime now get another opportunity. Leo Frick Lau is in the dump space. Ready to provide the reset if they need. Stout looking like they've got a poach in the lane. Wesley Podmore needs to do something about that.
He's very close to that dump setup. I'd be calling him back, telling him to give some space, recognize where his defensive player is.
I think that's the right call, Hillary, because right now his defensive player is causing absolute havoc for where everyone else wants to cut. As Podmore clears out, heads into the dump space, and drags that defender out as well. Tough throw from Lau, going low, making Ryan Black's life difficult. And Combine, get the disc back. Baker.
That was a great heads up by Ryan Black and Damiani.
And Lau, again with that laser inside forehand. He likes that throw. Black, the no-look lefty flip to Damiani, scooping around back. Big swing.
Beautiful shape on that disc.
Podmore doesn't like the up-shield option. As Damiani, doesn't like that either. Goes back to Black.
Great across the field throw.
Black goes down line.
No one's there.
Too high for Robertson.
Just too much. You want to throw into space, but you don't want to throw so far that your players can't get there. How crucial do you think that turn was for them?
It's definitely not great. I mean, we've seen that Combine can be pretty clinical and pretty ruthless when they've got the D. A number of times they've played end-to-end without a turn and without looking like they're in much trouble. So I think every time you give them the disc, you're rolling the dice, and eventually it's going to come up with sixes for Combine and they'll get the goal. It's Murray. Works hard to get a nice under. Goes back into the center. Robertson does well. The intended target was Crocker, but Robertson reacts.
That was good defense, though. They didn't create very many options for them, and they just had to throw it into space.
The vertical stack again as Damiani picks up. It's an interesting choice as he goes the high release forehand. I mean, that's an interesting choice. But what I was going to say was having 3 handlers out back. Often you'll see teams with 2 handlers with a vertical stack, but Sublime mixing it up.
I like that option, though, 3 handlers out when you're close to the end zone. It means that you have enough people to move it through within a short distance. The risk, though, that you have there is you don't have space to move it across very easily, and it can get clogged up because you are so close.
I guess it's just a matter of being extra disciplined about, with those 3, not letting it get clogged, making sure you're clearing out and getting away.
And at this level, I no doubt believe they've probably been practicing for a while and they're very comfortable with the 3 handlers outside.
As Black forces Combine backwards. Crocker having to throw a number of passes that don't get him a whole lot of space, and Murray eventually provides the outlet, as he has reliably done all game for this team. Crocker looks for the quick flip to Murray as they come near side. Sebastian Varela out on the field as well. He's one of the young guns for this team, but instead they shoot deep for Joseph Samuya.
Oh, and he gets the block!
Oh, and Damiani! Totally unnecessary layout. There's not a reason in the world for that, but he knew he was on stream. He knew he was on stream, and he delivers what the crowd wants.
Case in point, guys, here, catch your Ds. And Damiani did it. Gratuitous may it be, he knew.
It looked great. Immediately threw a hammer. I'm sure he's going to come over here in a minute and say, can you chop up that video, send it to me. I want to keep that one on file. As McCarricker throws to Robinson, and Robinson does a great job to hold on despite plenty of pressure and plenty of contact coming through. And maybe getting a little bit excited after that great grab under pressure. Rush of blood to the head kind of stuff. And
yeah.
Puts it out the sideline.
Not sure who he was looking for there, but it was a bullet down to the end zone, hoping for someone to come in and retrieve it.
Yeah, a little bit of wishful thinking and wishful throwing, perhaps.
He saw the space, he just didn't see the players attacking it.
And we've got a timeout call by Combine Stout, signaled by our wonderful game advisors. They'll take a moment. Combine recognizing that if you can get this goal, that takes it out to a 3-point lead. And I feel like at this stage of the game, that would mean a fair bit. Hillary, do you think if they manage to put this one in, that it's out of grasp for Sublime?
Certainly not out of grasp, but it would be a huge mountain to climb for them to come back from 3 points down. For Sublime, if they do lose this next point, they're going to have to work so much harder than they have from the get-go. So it'll be a challenge. Certainly not impossible, but I think there is, the odds would be in Combine's favour if they were to convert this next point.
If they want to get the job done, Sublime, they're going to need a few more plays like that one. Maybe not necessarily the gratuitous layout, but the first D was a great effort by Damiani to get there.
And he got up high against his player who was considerably taller than him. That's the beauty of Frisbee. Your height, it helps, but it doesn't matter, does it?
No, there's ways for every kind of body type to be successful in this sport, really. There's a role to be played by the big men, there's a role to be played by the little guns. The fast people, the slower people, the taller, the shorter. There's opportunities for them all to carve themselves a role on the field. And Damiani's definitely carved himself a role in this Sublime team.
Oh, yeah.
Despite, probably being the shortest guy on the field pretty much always.
But one of the powerhouse players for Sublime.
Oh, without a doubt. He's quarterbacked this offense this whole game. And you've seen there that he's also equally capable of delivering on defense. Stout now saying, hey, we can do the side stack too. Isolating Murray out of the lane. He has been an absolute workhorse for them all game long.
I like this look. Isolate your captain. See what happens.
Roxburgh will call a foul right in front of us. He went up line. They tried to lead him with the throw. There's a bit of, hip and shoulder, as they say. And there was a foul on the throw as well, so the disc will come back. regardless of what happens downfield. And they'll have a bit of a discussion. The question is, do they need to discuss this foul at the field? I'm not so sure. Perhaps we can go to Hannah Monty now.
Yep, so we're not discussing the foul on the field, we're just going to go with the foul on the road. They're playing.
Brilliant.
And
that was an incredible play by Leah Frick Lau.
Was it a layout block?
I think it may have been. I didn't get a good look at it because of some people heading down the sideline in front of us, but it was a great play nonetheless. He got the block first up on the first attempt at that pass. And now John Damiani, absolutely clinical.
There's a beautiful connection there between Damiani and Ryan Black. They've had a lot of passes between each other, and I think Black scored off quite a few of Damiani's passes. That's exactly what they needed. They need to close this gap now. If you were their coach, what would you be saying to them?
More of the same, please. I mean, you isolate a cutter as athletic as Ryan Black out in the lane, and you put the disc in the hands of a thrower with as many different tools as John Damiani, and you're going to find success 9.5 times out of 10, as you saw there. For Damiani, that's a very easy throw. You get another look at this block, by the way. Leah Frick Lau, wowza, going horizontal.
Putting the body on the line.
And then Damiani's throw. That's a regulation throw for him, and Black takes it on the chest. Safe as houses. I think Sublime have got to say that across their roster, they probably don't have the same depth of throwing talent that Combine does. You know, an advantage of playing Frisbee for 46.5 years, as most of these guys have, means you're really strong throwers. Every single player on this team capable of making difficult shots. And maybe that's not quite the case on Sublime. The consistency isn't there for their throwing. So I think what they've got to say is, you know, we want to isolate our cutters in space and give our stronger throwers, i.e. Damiani, time to work his magic. As Groh receives the pull. Good hustle down by Sublime will prevent the first pass. Eventually they find Glenn Molnar coming underneath. He finds forward. Working down this open side. And he'll go deep. Blading across the field onto the fat side, onto the break side. Away from his intended receiver. We've got pretty still conditions now, no hints of wind or anything. And yet we're still seeing relatively high numbers of turnovers in this game. Early in the day, you know, you could put it down to the wind. Now they don't have that excuse as they launch deep. Ford, definitely the taller, will use his height and swat that one as it goes past him. With an injury called by Crow. But
calling an injury, how do you think Combine saw that? Do you think that was a bad read on the disc?
No, I think Ford boxed out well. You know, he's taller. He knew that if he could hold the Sublime player behind him, he'd have the opportunity to get to that disc as it went past, as it did there. And he took that chance.
As you were saying before, we're seeing a lot of turnovers, but it's not that windy, so we can no longer put it down to that. I think part of it is that this is the third game for these two teams. They're a little bit tired, but they're also under pressure. They understand how important to win this game it is. They need to win this game, and then they need to win their next game to make it to pre-quarters. Whoever it's going to be, it's a do-or-die game.
And so far, it's Combine that's doing the doing, and Sublime that's doing the dying, unfortunately. As they work hard to get it off the sideline with a nice around backhand, and they go to Vidlock. And they work it across the field. I do think you're right, Hillary. Wind can't be the excuse, and maybe it is legs. But Murray has been nigh on unguardable all game long. Credit to him, Alan Murray, the captain. Just cutting up a storm downfield, providing options all over the place. And even slotting into the handle position when they needed it a few times. And that takes it to 9-7. And Combine take it back to a 2-point lead. We've got plenty of time left in this game. For 33 and a bit minutes. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. That's right. Sublime, their legs are looking a little bit tired. And I think they need to sort of stop and reflect and understand that and push through. One of the challenges with Frisbee is that you need to push through these mental barriers of how tired and how sore your legs are. And just punish yourself, essentially, to keep playing, to win games. I'm glad I'm not in that position right now.
It's day one, though. Surely, you'd hope that coming into a tournament, they're not too exhausted by the end of day one. I mean, the old men have an excuse, but I'm not sure about the young guys.
Max, these guys flew from Perth. They've come across the country to get here today.
Exactly, so surely, knowing that they were going to come across the
These
country,
old guys have been training for years.
Years and
They
years
know
and years
exactly
and
what
years
they're
and
doing.
and years
Hundreds
and
of years if you would combine it together. Hundreds and hundreds of years.
Well, that many years of practice is paying off now. Damiani to Black, that's that connection we were talking about. Robertson streaming in.
Oh!
What a take under plenty of pressure from Roxburgh.
Looks like we've got a call, though.
It's a travel call on Black. Wouldn't be a Masters game without a travel call. Yeah, look, we've got to the second half without one happening, so we should really be thankful. It was a great play by Robertson, despite the best efforts of Sebastian Varela on defense. And we get another look at it. Oh, no fear. Black goes again, and Robertson delivers again, and Roxburgh lays out again. They just rewound the tape and played it again. They said, look, it worked for us last time. I know it looked speculative and looked risky, but
It looked better this time, didn't it?
it actually
A little
did
bit
look
cleaner.
better. It did look cleaner the second time. You're absolutely
If
right.
it ain't broke,
Don't fix it.
that's right.
And that takes it to 9-8. So we got to look at that again. Speaking from my perspective alone, didn't look like a whole lot of a travel on the monitor, but credit to the defense. Great effort by Roxburgh. And it goes again. Laying out on cue, on demand. Not an easy thing to do.
Credit to Robertson, great hands for both times, getting the disc up high.
Yeah, doing your research before this game, Hill, you came over and said, we've got to watch out for him. He's going to get a lot of the disc. And you're not wrong, he's been cutting up a storm. Damiani on again. What do you think the chances are of Damiani taking a sub between now and the end of this game if it stays tight?
Slim to none. I feel, you know, with a team like Sublime, you want to keep your experienced players on the field, just to keep it cool, calm, and collected. And like you say, they need to have that composure, and that's what they need to do. And you get that with the experienced players.
And a great run through block. Jed Yu, easy as you like. Combine Stout caught and napping. Now it finds its way into the hands of Damiani.
Combine want it though. They're running through. They're angry. Hungry for that disc.
Yeah, they're disappointed with how easily they gave that up. And now Damiani cuts to the end zone. Does he toe that in?
Oh, did he get that?
It's going to be a bit of discussion. Steve Baker, the advisor's over there. The players resolve it. It's a goal. John Damiani, JD to his mates.
We've got the Chaos ladies on the sidelines barracking for the Sublime Perth team. They're excited. We're excited.
Can't blame him.
Does that level it?
That does level it. That's 9 apiece. They've pulled it back.
That was a crucial point. They've now got this confidence to take it. They could take this game from under Combine's feet without them knowing. What's next?
They've got to change something up. Combine. They've slowed down. They've taken their foot off the accelerator for the last couple of points. As we see again here, Sublime have mixed it up. They've made John Damiani break into a run for the first time in this game. He's been very content to loiter behind the disc, as he usually does.
He was a receiver for the first time now.
Yeah. He lulled them into a sense of security by not breaking into a jog for the first half, but gets to the second half and look how effective it is. Goes up line, burns his play out, does a great job to toe it in, and takes it to nines.
I think one of the keys with the experienced players is they know when to bring out their arsenal of skills. They won't just show it to the other team. They'll conserve their energy until they absolutely need it, and then they'll punish them. That's what we can see with Combine. You never know.
And these players are, as you say, very capable of turning it on when they need to. But I'd say at 9-all in the do-or-die game, this is when you need to. If there's a time to do it, it's right about now. Disc in the hands of Cherlin. He unleashes the big throw. He's got receivers streaming deep, forward in plenty of space, can't provide the option. Yes, he can, and he just drops it. Molnar's simple backhand to his chest is dropped. Forward, he's been so reliable all game. The nerves, perhaps.
I don't even think he can believe what happened.
The pressure. He sensed the Sublime comeback. And now Sublime with another opportunity on this near side. Just going to hands a block. He'll send it to McCarricker.
In these do-or-die games, mental fitness is also a really crucial factor. And we just saw that when you get a little bit nervous, you lose sight of what's happening, and in fields you can make mistakes. Do you have any words of advice for mental fitness?
I think it's one of those really difficult things to intentionally train for or practice for. It's something that comes with experience. And that may be the edge that Combine needs. For a lot of these guys, you know, they've played many nationals competitions before. Many of them have played worlds competitions before. This doesn't feel like a high stakes moment for them. They've done it all many times previously, and hopefully they can bring that veteran cool to this game. As Roxburgh goes deep, Crocker at plenty of separation. Black almost makes up the distance, and it looks like he may have a... Nope, that's a goal. Thought there may have been a call in the stack. Everyone stood still, but it was just in disbelief for a moment there.
No idea what was going on.
And that takes it to 10-9. Combine now in prime position. They just need to hold on, keep their level heads. They're in the driver's seat. They're up. You feel like they've had the better run of it so far. How do you, Hillary, or what goes through these players' minds when they're trying to maintain a slim lead like this? They know they can't take their foot off the accelerator because Sublime is just behind, but they just want to keep maintaining where they're at.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just focusing on what you actually know and what your team has been practicing this entire season. There's no time to switch it up too much here. You actually just want to stick with what's working for them. Combine, they've had it up against Sublime the entire game, and if they just stick to that, put the pedal down a little bit more, you know, but it goes down to just steady throws, choosing the right options, and they'll get there.
We'll see if they can make those steady throws and take those right options. As Damiani nods the head. They look at him at the dump. Combine playing a bit of a zone look. Sublime wastes no time going straight through the middle. As they work it up this sideline into the hands. Through the hands, they center it again. That inside flick. Lock. Oh, threading a needle. And now we've got a call, maybe a travel. Incredibly tight throw down a channel that I didn't think anyone else on the field knew existed. It was so tight. And we've got the reenactment. But it's retracted, and it's a goal.
That was really beautiful movement across the field, and I actually think that's what Sublime needed to do. We had Leo Lau, who was moving right and left, getting every second disc almost. And then we had Stan Tomato, who threw that to Damiani. Incredible. They level it a piece now. What's the next move for Sublime?
Well, I think they need to keep doing what they're doing there. No player held on to this for more than 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds. Keeping that really high tempo keeps the defense in the back foot. Doesn't give time for the defense to really lock down. And it continually asks questions of the defense. It says, you know, what are you going to do when I move the disc here? What are you going to do when I move the disc here? And if you ask enough questions, eventually Combine won't have an answer, as you saw there. And they just have to continue to be ruthless with their option taking. When they see their chance come up, as they did there, they've got to be fearless and they've got to take it. Even if it means throwing down a tight channel.
Yeah, I think that was really clean offensively to continue with that. We're not seeing anything too spectacular here, though. Nothing interesting, nothing new. Just good old tight frisbee.
It is incredibly still, so I can't imagine they'll pull out any aggressive zone looks. Containment zones we just saw there didn't prove effective either, so I imagine Stout go back to single coverage next time. Sublime happy to continue playing their match defense. As Baker fakes, finds Vidler. Vidler moves it to the near side to Roxburgh. Crocker, Ludwig, Murray. Combine taking a page out of the Sublime board, keeping the tempo high. It's a lovely inside shot from Baker. Open up a lot more of the field, and Roxburgh goes break again.
Murray again!
To Murray. As I said, the guy's been known unguardable. He's just a workhorse. Runs and runs and runs. Gets open, gets open, gets open, and just provides so much for this Combine team.
Do you think the key is to shut down Murray?
To be honest, I mean, I think it would help, but this Stout team, maybe as opposed to the Sublime one, doesn't feel like it runs through a single player. It feels like everyone out there on the field is willing and able to contribute, and everyone else has bought into a system that allows that. Perhaps down on the Sublime side of things, they're a little more focused at running offenses through particular players. You know,
That's right.
The usual suspects would be Damiani, Robertson, and Black. They've just done so much for this team, and it's clearly working for them. They're in this game. It's 11-10, but it does put a whole lot of responsibility in those couple of players and provide some key targets for Combine. You know, if Combine can shut down one of those three, that really limits Sublime.
I think that's the challenge for Sublime, is that with Combine, they're moving through all of their players. They're not actually just focusing on one player, like you said. And so the threats are there, but they can't just hone in on one thing. They have to be across the board, looking at every different threat.
In terms of being across those threats for Combine, they've got to deal with, as we said, Damiani and the like. What do you think the best approach is for when you're playing against a really dominant thrower like that?
It's a tricky question, because I would always say no big throws if you know that that's what they like to do. And, you know, you want to get them in a position where they're uncomfortable. So whether that's shutting down their big throws and only giving them small little jinky things, that's fine, because we know that, like, they'll move it through their handlers. How would you shut them down?
I'd be tempted to agree, as they find Robertson doing what he does best, which is scoring goals. Shutting down players like Damiani, I think, is a difficult task. And at the end of the day, it's often a case of not how do we shut him out of this game completely, but how do we limit the damage that he's causing to our team.
Yeah, what can we take away from him? What skill set can we remove? It's challenging because sometimes these players, they have the big throws, but they also have, as we saw, Damiani can be a receiver as well. And he can do whatever he wants, essentially. He's a veteran on the field. You never know what's going to happen.
I think my approach for him, if I was the captain or coach, the leadership of Combine, would be to say, let's try and push him downfield. We've seen him do it once or twice. You know, he's caught a couple of goals. But let's see how many times he can reproduce that. I think he's obviously advanced in years, and his main talents lie with the disc in hand. Let's put one of our quick, agile defenders on him and push him downfield and see how long he can continue to get open and provide options down there. It also will leave Sublime. It also would leave Sublime with a severely diminished handler set and limit their options in terms of the kinds of offense they can look to, because they won't have those throws. Having said that, Stout have the disc at midfield with Vidlar as they go to Crocker. Back to Cherlin. Cherlin has had a lot of the disc this game, playing that pivot role in the handler formation for Combine Stout. And we'll get a pick call. And they'll have a bit of discussion about it because they're Masters players and that's what they do. They see an opportunity to draw out the break and catch their breaths. So they pretend to be disagreeing when really they just try to, suck it in a little bit.
It's a good tactic though. Sometimes you just got to do it.
It'll be agreed amicably. It'll come back in on...
You're exactly right there, Max. They decided to have it not affect. They just had to discuss it.
Thanks, Hannah. Hannah Monty, our chief game advisor for this game. She's been doing a stellar job, so thank you to her. And that one, through the hands of Ford. That's the second cold drop that Ford's had. He was looking so good in the early part of this game, and his head is somewhere else right now.
He's nervous. He knows the scoreline. He knows that this game is crucial. We'll see what Sublime can do. Will it be the usual Damiani, Black, or Robertson? Any of them? Well, it won't be Damiani because he's not on the field, but...
They move it to this near sideline in the hands of Merriman. Back to McKerricker. They go through the middle to Atwal.
Oh.
And they reach for Nah. But he's not able to reel that one in. He's quick, but he's not that quick. And Stout will have it back. Cherlin again. Look at this. Doing a mountain of handling work for this team. And Ford, he's not dissuaded by his earlier mistakes. Runs hard, gets the under, catches it, and continues the play. Baker gets it and reaches it. A great defensive effort, bouncing off the hands.
That was a close one, and that was a good example of always try and catch your Ds. You never know where the disc is going to go.
Merriman would have regretted it if possession had been maintained by Stout, but in the end, well done by him. Sporting the dreadlocks and beard. He's a distinctive character out in the field. As Sublime begin the journey back down the field for I think the third or fourth time this point. As Lau pops through to McKerricker.
Carrying it on the sideline. That's not good.
Bounces out of the hands of Nah, unfortunately. He's not able to hold on. And Vidlar reaches for Crocker. Sends that one almost end zone to end zone. And the case of the drops that was happening for Sublime earlier in the game it's contagious. Ford's had a couple, and now Crocker.
I think they're playing hot potato. They don't know what they want to catch.
Something's happened. I don't know if they've been greasing their palms in between points or something. But look, from a receiver's perspective, you couldn't ask for a throw more on your chest, but he couldn't hold on to that one. And we get a timeout call from McKerricker. The players need a break, and so do we. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. The timeout's over. They've had a chance to regroup and reassess. Sublime setting up a pretty standard offense for them. Interestingly, Damiani's front of stack won't start in the dump space. And McCarricker finds him on the inside. They immediately have Merriman go deep. Damiani delivers. And Merriman receives.
That was a great play. I think that was exactly what they wanted.
That was
and we have a call.
Straight out of the playbook, really. Damiani to the break side from the front of the stack. Gets the inside shot. Immediately, Merriman goes off the back, and Damiani delivers. We've had a call, so it will come back.
I believe it's a travel call.
A travel call on Damiani.
Very unfortunate, and that's why we didn't see him setting up in the dump position, because they wanted to send it to him, get him in a power position so he could send it long.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him just attempt it straight up again. As we get a look at it again, it was a lovely throw, to his credit. Merriman's still the deepest on the field. We'll see whether he tries it again. He doesn't. He comes underneath. Gets a gainer.
Good choice, really.
Nah, to Lau, to Damiani. He's got Merriman on the fat side. Throws the inside forehand. And well done by Vidler. That's a ambitious throw, and I think they're going to have a bit of a chat about it, about the contact on the D. Vidler, easily the taller of the pair. And we may be able to hear a little bit what's happening down there. Perhaps not. Hannah, are you able to give us a bit of insight into what the outcome and what the discussion was?
Yeah, sure. So there was agreement that there was contact, but there was disagreement about whether or not it affected, so they decided to send it and have a second crack.
Fair enough. It's gone back, and they take another shot. And again, it is too far. The disc doesn't lie, as they say. The disc does not lie. And you may hear in the background that the time cap honker is going, the horn is blaring, which means we will finish this point and we will add one. It's game to 13 no matter what. They're currently at 11s.
Nail-biting moment. Who do you think's going to take it, Max?
Oh, making me make predictions, Hillary. It's unfair.
It's too close to call, isn't it? You don't know.
I think that Stout is going to prevail, I'll be honest. The cool heads will get the job done. But I would love to see Sublime and their athleticism make some plays. As Stout reaches long, Murray's underneath. Damiani's there, but Murray's way taller than Damiani. Surely not a call. Gives him a hug.
Just wanted to wait for that hug. Didn't want to make a call.
No. I think a lot of people would have been surprised if he'd tried to argue that one. And that takes it to 12-11, game to 13. Sublime with work to do, and Combine in the driver's seat.
I've seen teams bring it back. The question will be, does Sublime have the energy to do it? Do they want it?
Do they want it enough? I guess we'll find out. And they've got everything to play for, as you said earlier. This is a do-or-die game for both teams. They both recorded 2 losses earlier today. And if you have 3 losses in your pool, it's nigh on impossible to get your way into the bracket play of this tournament. You'd need some pretty crazy 3-way ties and points difference and stuff to go your way. So if you want to be the one to control your destiny, you need to win this game. And it's all on the line for both of these teams. Sublime will be disappointed if they fly halfway across the country and get knocked out by the end of day 1.
Last year, Sublime came in 7th, I believe. But they've been to all of Div 2 tournaments.
Pretty impressive. Div 2, a relatively new addition to the tournament calendar. It was added 4 or 5 years ago now.
That's right.
And it's great to see how it's grown. It started off with just a men's division, and only a small number of teams, and here we are, 2 divisions and 40 teams and 750-something players. As Damiani finds his man, Lau to Robertson. Expect Robertson to work hard this point. Struggling to get the dump off, but he does. McCarricker can't provide an option. Black can't provide an option. Eventually, Damiani gets the disc back. You can see the way that when cutters get the disc, they only have eyes for Damiani. It's clear where they want the disc to go.
That's right. Combine need to respect that fact that Sublime are only looking for Damiani at this point in the game. They're looking for someone who's calm with the disc and who's going to be able to send it. I would just, at this moment in time, only be looking to shut down Damiani. You're up a point. It's probably going to work in your favor.
Yeah, look, if you've got your best defender on the line and you're wondering about who to put him on, I think the answer's got to be Damiani. It's just so crucial to the Sublime offense. Having said that, Sublime is now playing through all their other players.
That's true.
And credit to Long, who's got the task of shutting down Damiani. He's doing a good job at keeping him away from the frisbee. As Merriman goes to turf as he holds onto that one and does well. He does the nice throw to Damiani, and he delivers the goal, as he has so often this game. Takes it to 12s. We're at Universe Point here between Combine Stout and Sublime. This is the 3rd Universe Point in a row today. We started off with the Ballarat game, where they went down, unfortunately, to Bullseye, also from Perth. Maybe that's a sign. Then we had the matchup between the Inland Gypsies and the Bauhaus Rezzies, also going to Universe. And here we've got another one. 12 apiece. Game to 13. Everything to play for. Hill, what do you say to a team right now? They've got the adrenaline pumping. They realize that everything's on the line. Are you trying to settle it down, or are you trying to keep the fire and burning?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the fire. If I was their coach, I'd just be like, we've got this, guys. We brought it back. Particularly if we were Sublime, I'd be saying, you know, we closed that gap. They were in front. They lost it. We're now 12 apiece on Universe. Let's just go out there and punish them. We know how to do this. Build them up. Build their confidence up so they know what to do. Combine, I'd be saying, you guys know exactly what to do. You've been doing this year on, year out. You're seasoned professionals. Don't do anything different. Show them how to play.
It just looks like Stout, as you say, are taking that advice and have got their standard O-line out there. The same 7 guys that have been getting the job done all game long. Cherlin with a disc. Feidler gets it now. It's the usual suspects. Ford makes a good hold under pressure. Lau right on his hip. Back to Vidler. In power position. Wides up. Unleashes the background. He's got Long underneath it. Easily does it on the chest. That's a lovely throw.
Into space. Defender streaming far behind. Had no chance, really. That's unfortunate. Well done to Sublime and well done to Combine Stout for taking it out. 13-12.
And that's a wrap from us here in beautiful Wollongong. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a treat. And based on what we've seen today, it'll be a treat tomorrow and the day after. So do come back. Check out the coverage being provided all weekend long by the great blokes at Alti TV. Thanks to them. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
Alti.tv